Good morning, everyone. Welcome. A small chant, Buddhist chant to begin with. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So welcome to all of us here and also those connecting online in various places. A special occasion. I was thinking that in a way, any time we're mindful is a special occasion. Any time we're practicing meditation is a special occasion. And particularly practicing as a group, coming together is a special occasion. And particularly today, this morning, a more significant special occasion, given that we're here as a group, particularly around the retreat reflections, celebrating Ajahn Chah's life. And the notes that I've put together give a bit of a brief on Ajahn Chah and his teachings. And this particular occasion, because he was born on the 17th of June, 1918, actually died on the 16th of January 1992, age 73. And also, I often do have or offer a retreat day around this time because it's also my father's birthday. So my father was born on the 16th of June, 1926. So he would be 100 on the 16th. He died when he was 70. So that my father was also a great influence for me in terms of Buddhist practice. He was a Buddhist and introduced me to Buddhism, and found great inspiration in myself, having become a Buddhist monk. Obviously, I'm no longer a monk, but continue the practice and the appreciations and share that with others like yourselves, certainly like on this particular occasion. So I thought, given the date mid-June, to have a retreat day, a half-day retreat day, and to then offer some reflections around Ajahn Chah's teachings. I spent many years in Thailand with him. Unfortunately, when I was there, he'd had a stroke, so he wasn't speaking, and over a number of years became more and more paralyzed. I did spend many occasions nursing him. The monks were trained as nurses to nurse him in the monastery, and he had 24-hour care. I would usually do a night shift. There'd be a block of 2 weeks, night shifts for 2 weeks, and ones that I did, and being able to give back to him in a way. He'd given so much of his life, his self, to supporting others in their meditation practice, in Dhamma practice, teaching, guiding. His whole life was teaching and guiding people. And it's unfortunate that in the prime of his teaching career, he had these couple of strokes and became unwell and not able to speak. Though even though he wasn't speaking, being around him, his presence was teaching in itself. So he was teaching through his silence and teaching through his body that wasn't able to operate, teaching that this is the nature of these bodies that we have, and that they might look fine and feel fine and be fine for a while, but as they get older, they can be problematic, as we all know. Even when they're young, they can be problematic. But that's sort of part of the learning, part of the lesson, to appreciate the nature of these bodies that we use through the course of our lifetime, however long that might be, and therefore to use them wisely, to learn from them, and to use them particularly for the avenue and possibility of realizing truth and freedom. So today I was thinking that to put together some notes which I have, which you've got, and particularly to point out some of the significant principles of Ajahn Chah's teaching. Certainly, he taught a lot, gave lots of talks, lots of teachings to the monks and nuns that were in his monastery. He ordained young and In time spent time with a very, very significant forest monk called Ajahn Mun, who in a way is seen as the monk in Thailand who reinstated and re-established the forest tradition. So monks, rather than living in towns and town monasteries, city monasteries, village monasteries, monks living in the forest, living as the Buddha lived 2,500 years ago, living close to nature. And so Ajahn Chah spent some time with Ajahn Mun, and then in time came back to his village and was offered some land close to the village where he established a monastery, which is where he was for the rest of his life. But over the course of that time, many students became monks, nuns, and people became students of his, and resulting in various branch monasteries. And in Thailand now, there's probably over 100 branch monasteries with senior students, monastics of Ajahn Chah, as well as into the West as well. So that branch monasteries through England and America and Europe and Australia and New Zealand that relate back to Ajahn Chah's teaching. So that sense of connection, and also the connection through people that are no longer monastics that still share and share meditation, such as ourselves here. So that connection to Ajahn Chah with yourselves through myself, back to Ajahn Chah, back to Ajahn Mun, back to the Buddha. So there's a sense of lineage and line and connection there that one can sort of feel part of. Some of the principles of Ajahn Chah's teaching. Firstly, that the importance of living in and living close to nature, something which we can all appreciate, the importance of connecting into nature. The work that I do as a psychologist, I'm often telling people to connect into nature, which is easy up here. It's a bit more difficult in other places like Sydney, but connect into nature, because nature can ground you, nature can heal you, nature can remind you of your own nature, the nature of the body, the nature of the mind that can become calm and still, and that in a way there's truth that nature is sharing and speaking and telling us all the time. Even if we're walking in nature, a path we might walk on a regular basis, and over time you see things changing. That tree's changing. That tree's maybe getting bigger, or that tree has got rot in it, or that tree has fallen down. This is the nature of that's being expressed to us. Hearing nature, hearing the sound of the birds, and that remind us to be present. If our mind is caught up in the future or the past, we're not really attending and aware of receiving and appreciating the beauty of nature as well. So nature helps us to calm down, to become stiller, quieter, inwardly more aware and present to ourselves, so we can be more present to others. And in a way that I think probably at no other time in human history, we need to connect back into nature, as we become easily attracted, distracted into digital things that certainly are affecting how our brains function and how we connect with other people, often in a negative way. So that nature can help us to be reminded of what's significant, what's important, and to ground us back into something perennial, something ongoing, something peaceful. So Ajahn Chah would really sort of emphasize the importance of living in nature. Certainly the forest monks and nuns lived in forest monasteries, sometimes jungle monasteries, cave monasteries, but certainly close to and in nature. And then also he would say, nature is teaching you, look to nature, look and listen from nature. In fact, his monastery, Wat Nong Pa Pong in northeast Thailand, had lots of paths through the forest, through the jungle, and there were many of the trees had signs on them, or a board was nailed on, and there'd be a particular Dharma teaching, wisdom teaching, that one could then walk along and read and reflect and contemplate, so that the trees were actually teaching through what was written on them. And there was even a book produced that had It's called Dharma Don Mai. So it was the wisdom teachings from the trees. And so and these were sayings of Ajahn Chah. They were also sayings of the Buddha, maybe other significant teachers and monastics as well. But again, that idea that nature can be teaching us. Also, that sense of the word Dhamma chart, so that finding our own inner nature when the mind becomes calm and still and silent and spacious, that sort of inner true nature of the mind, which he very much pointed at appreciating. So nature can often help us to settle into the mind, the peaceful mind, beyond all the hustle and bustle and issues and worries and woes of the world, to find that stillness which is timeless as well, particularly through meditation. It's a lovely verse that I put into the notes here. It says, the forest is peaceful. Why aren't you? You hold on to things causing you confusion. Let nature teach you. Hear the bird's song, then let it go. If you know nature, you'll know Dharma. If you know Dharma, you'll know nature. So Venerable Ajahn Chah said that. And this moves on into the next principle of Ajahn Chah's teachings, which was to live simply, seeking simplicity, living simply. And I think that, again, that's something which we can really relate to, because life, even over the course of our lifetimes, life is becoming increasingly complex and complicated and confusing and even conflictual. So seeking simplicity, which can be challenging, because the ways of the world are often about complexity, but putting in effort to be able to come back to that which is simple. So both the Buddha very much taught this, to live simply, and Ajahn Chah sort of emphasized that and exercised that through his teachings as well. Even the teachings were quite simple. It's interesting that over the years, I've heard many of his talks, which were recorded. I learned Thai so I could listen to his talks, and then his teachings that have been transcribed into books. There's some of his books here. He didn't write anything himself, but the talks were recorded and transcribed and translated into English. So not just Thai, but English and other languages as well. And often when people read a teaching of Ajahn Chah, they say it's so simple yet profound. Sort of it cuts through all the unnecessary words and unnecessary ideas, and sort of goes directly to the truth. And I think the more our society is becoming time poor, we want clear, concise, precise, direct wisdom teachings that move the mind beyond sort of philosophizing and ideas and ideals and so forth, that really go right to the point of being a human being and being able to reduce stress and suffering, finding freedom, finding liberation. A couple of his books that very much express this, A Still Forest Pool, and there's a sort of a nature element coming through. This book's written by two of his monastic students that are no longer monastics, Jack Cornfield, who's a psychologist, and Paul Breiter. So lots of little stories and teachings of Ajahn Chah. This one here, A Tree in the Forest, again, like the nature element, tree in the forest, again, sort of stories and similes that Ajahn Chah would use, collection of Ajahn Chah similes. And again, these books down here and under his photograph. It's a painting which is from a photograph of him sitting in the forest under his big umbrella. Forest monks would make these big umbrellas, and then to use in the rain, and also they'd put a mosquito net around, so then they could camp outside, sort of like a little tent, or sit under that for meditation. But again, that sense of nature and simplicity. And I think that, again, for ourselves, to make things simple for ourselves. Meditation. We don't have to do complex meditations. Some forms of Buddhism, they get into really, really complex, convoluted meditations. Some people maybe like that or need that. But The Buddha himself taught very simple meditations, mindfulness of breathing, um, contemplation of the nature of the body, loving kindness meditation. Simple meditation, but at the same time, being able to develop the mind, develop quality of consciousness, and to go into very deep states of profound peace without being caught up in the fabrications of the mind, the convolutions of the mind, the ways in which the mind can create a lot of extra stuff that becomes baggage that ultimately needs to be let go of. So a third principle of Ajahn Chah's was learning to let go. Learning to let go. Again, that's something which we can relate to as well. So we don't need to be a forest monastic, a forest monk or nun to appreciate the importance of letting go. I say so many times to people that life is this ongoing lesson in learning how to let go. Because when we're clinging and grasping and holding on, particularly to things that are in time, things that change, that's when stress, distress, dis-ease, disorder, despair, depression can happen. So being able to let go, hold when we need to, but not with grasping or clinging, a sense of non-attachment as a practice. And we can even say that the whole of the Buddha's teachings culminate and conclude in the appreciation and practice of letting go. All Buddha's teachings, he taught for 45 years and taught so much. It's even said that he taught 84,000 different different things, different sort of sentences and paragraphs. That someone's counted them all up from the Buddhist monastic Tripitaka, the three collections of teachings, 84,000. But they all come down to the fundamental teaching, appreciation, and practice of letting go. So letting go of everything, holding on to nothing. And if one does that, then the result is enlightenment, because it includes even letting go of this identity of ourself. This psychological sense of self, which is there, but the more we hold on to it and cling to it, then the more stress and suffering occurs. So Ajahn Chah and all the teachers, right back to the Buddha, were very much emphasizing, exercising, engaging, and teaching people to simply live simply, but also to let go. And that's where there's a great sense of ease and freedom. We often find that, am I upset? Am I stressed? Okay, yes. Okay, then am I holding on to something? Yes. Holding on to maybe something that's changing that I don't want to let go of, something that already has changed, something that I didn't get. I wanted to get that, but I didn't get it. And so a sense of stress and suffering, holding on to views and opinions, holding on to the body being a certain way, a certain age even, and holding on to other people, holding on to property and so forth, different things that we may have. And so that life is telling us every day, hey, be careful what you're holding on to, because it's going to change. And if we're able to, yes, take up, hold when we need to, but hold it lightly so that when things change, we can let it go, let things take their natural course. And again, certainly Ajahn Chah was emphasizing that and certainly teaching that, again, when he had his several strokes, also included fluid on his brain, and so that he was not able to move, not able to speak. And so there were monastics that were very, very attached to this Ajahn Chah, this charismatic, dynamic, powerful, wise teacher. And there he was, not able to move, not able to speak, not able to eat for himself. And so that there was a profound teaching in that. And obviously then years later, he was very cared for very, very well. So his body did live quite a long time in that sort of state, but finally dying as well. So a profound teaching, like when the Buddha passed away. So a profound teaching for everybody that we have to ultimately let go, not just of this in-breath so we can have an out-breath, but also the last breath that will happen for us one day as well. Who knows when? That's the uncertainty that we live with. But Ajahn Chah emphasized also the fourth principle, which was support, that we support each other in our practice, so that sense of conscious community, the importance of connecting with others, living with others, certainly in monastic life, to have that sense of community or sangha, to live with others. And in many ways, I think that the Ajahn Chah tradition has survived and continued and become sort of quite strong because of the emphasis on sangha, community. So that in Thailand, the Ajahn Chah's teaching was to live in community, but also there's a communal sort of meetings. So every morning, which was like the big bell, like the one we've got here that you heard. It's a monastic bell from Japan, temple bell. But in the monasteries in Thailand, the morning bell would go at 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. And the choice was, if you wanted to get up, you got up. If you didn't want to get up, you get up. That's the choice. And in fact, you didn't have to get up at 3 a.m. If you wanted to, you get up before 3 a.m. And because sometimes the monasteries can be quite a big area of forest or jungle, and to get from your hut to the main meditation room, meditation hall, it might take you, 20 minutes or more, and you wanted to be able to get up, wash your face, do some stretching and so forth, get your robes together and walk to the meditation hall. So it might take you some time, and you have to be there for 3:30, those communal chanting, and then meditation, and then sweeping out the hall of any snakes that have come in during the night, centipedes, caterpillars, and tarantula spiders, and scorpions, sweep them out, and then going off on alms round to the various villages around the place, and then coming back and doing some more sweeping around the paths, forest paths in the monastery, and then also having the one meal of the day. So sitting in a long line, monastics, nuns, and lay people that are visiting. And so things were done together as a group, a sense of group living. And for anybody that spent time in groups, not just on silent retreats, but time in a group, even at school, or even at home in a family group, it can be challenging. It's easier to maybe live alone and hold on to opinions and behaviors and habits. But if you're living with others, you have to be patient with them and kind to them and helpful for them and forgiving of them. And so that in a way, communal living, group living helps to wear off the rough edges, the sharp edges that we all have to some degree. And certainly I've noticed that in Thailand and other places as well, where there's monks that live alone, just alone, they've often got many sharp edges and can be a bit sort of hard at times. But the ones that spend time and live in community are more open, more amenable, more friendly, more easygoing, and less holding on to things in a certain way. So that community living is a great support for one's practice, both in terms of working on oneself in the context of others, also getting feedback as well, getting support, getting encouragement, which is why it can be helpful to be part of like even a meditation group like we have here. So our group, Ratanagiri Meditation Sangha. Sangha is a Buddhist word for group, or community. That's so a sense of a meditation group that one's part of, that one supports and is supported by as well. A group has more strength and power, and also potential longevity than just being an individual practicing at home alone, and practice can get a bit slack. But if you're part of a group, the group can support you and keep things going, keep the meditation going. And certainly too, like with what we have here as Ratnagiri Meditation Sangha, at times inviting monastics to come and share and teach, and as a group, there's a sense of like, well, they feel more like, yes, they'll come and teach a group of people as opposed to just one person. So there's a sense of being something extra as a group. The Buddha spoke about individuals. People are like a flower, and but if the flower is strung together with a cord, it becomes a flower garden, garland. Like you've probably seen in various places, like in India, they have flower garlands, um, flowers strung together. So there's a sense of strength in that. It holds together. The flowers just don't get dispersed and lost, but it becomes something that is an object that can be used. It's strung together, held together, and that string that holds the garland together is the string of morality, sort of common morality, virtue that sort of aligns, everyone aligns. That the string is also made up of the common aspiration of meditation, and also the string of the string line is wisdom, a sense of common values and understandings that one aligns to. So sila, samadhi, panya, morality, meditation and wisdom as the cord that connects us into a group, into a beautiful flower garland. So community very much being emphasized by Ajahn Chah's teachings. And now, even though he's no longer alive, there's many branch monasteries, and they often will meet up. Monks and nuns will go to various different branch monasteries and support them, special occasions, retreats and things. So there's a sense of connecting throughout the world. So not just in Thailand, but the various branch monasteries in Australia, in New Zealand, in England, in Europe, in America. The monks and nuns connect and share and support each other in that way, and also support Buddhist groups as well. So there's a sense of keeping a practice, keeping a tradition going through community. These then become four important things to engage for ourselves. So living close to nature, living within nature, understanding our own nature, being able to live simply, learning to let go, and being part of a community, part of a group, part of a sangha, and supporting that and being supported by that. So these are things that we can appreciate and practice, and also read about if you're reading any books or listening to some of the talks that either Ajahn Chah gave, being translated into books or teachings, or some of the teachings that his senior Western disciples give as well, which are available online through YouTube. So today is a day of us practicing well, and in many ways we're practicing a practice, a tradition that's 2,500 years old, that connects right back to the time of the Buddha, practicing mindfulness, practicing meditation, sitting meditation, walking meditation. And we'll have a chance to have a look at a couple of videos as well that were made back in the 70s. It's been videos that have been made of the monasteries, Ajahn Chah's monasteries since then, but these two ones that show actually Ajahn Chah as well. So that one called The Buddha Comes to Sussex, which we'll have a look at about 11 o'clock. It goes for 30 minutes. And then the other one, The Mindful Way, which is Ajahn Chah in Thailand in his monastery. We'll have a look at that about 11:45. Goes for about 30 minutes. And then we'll finish up at 12:30. Having had some time for some questions and discussion and reflections as well. So let's settle into our morning with a meditation. If you need to stand for a minute or two to stretch your legs, feel free to do so. taking this time to allow ourselves to settle, settling in, settling down, relaxing back into being. Meditation is practicing being and knowing rather than always doing and thinking. Giving our brain, mind a break from roles and responsibilities, being caught up in issues and concerns, and just settling back into this present moment, this place and point of existence, the present. Meditation is realizing the point of existence, the present, enabling a calm, objective, receptive, attentive knowing. And in a way, coming to our senses, both literally and metaphorically. Before we take up our mindfulness of breathing meditation, using our breath as our reference point for the present. But before that, just relaxing our awareness down into our body. Maybe having a deep, relaxing, letting go breath, releasing stress, tension. That sense of arriving here, arriving into our body. Coming back to just being here, being aware, being present. And as we come to our senses, beginning with the sense of touch, noticing the touch of our feet, connecting with the floor, contact sensation, feet connecting with the floor, just noticing that sensation, feeling our feet connecting with the floor. Then bringing our awareness up to sense and feel the touch of our body, connecting with the chair, the cushion, or meditation stool. Just mindfully noticing that, sensing that, feeling that. Feeling the body against the chair, cushion, or stool. Another sensation. Then bringing awareness up to our hands and fingers resting in our lap, making sure they feel comfortable, adjusting them if we need to. Maybe one hand resting in the other, so we can feel the contact sensation of our skin, of our hands, as a warmth or coolness, softness or moistness, just noticing. Or maybe feeling our hands touching the fabric of our clothes. And bringing our awareness up to our shoulders, a place where stress tension often collects. So just feeling into our shoulders with our awareness, noticing how the shoulders feel. If they do feel tight or tense, then just inwardly helping them to relax without disturbing the uprightness of our back, relaxing the shoulders. Then feeling down into our chest area, relaxing the chest area so we can breathe freely. Then feeling down into the abdomen belly area, a place where we often feel emotions, hold emotion. Noticing how the abdomen belly feels. It does feel tense or tight, contracted. Relaxing the abdomen belly area, softening that area, particularly so our diaphragm can extend fully as we breathe. And then feeling the soothing motion, the gentle rising up with the in-breath, relaxing down with the out-breath, feeling the rising, relaxing, rising, relaxing, letting our body find its own natural rhythm and process of breathing. Then bringing our awareness up further to our face, noticing our face, another area of sensation, sensitivity. Noticing our face, maybe even feeling the air connecting with our face. Noticing our face. And then from the sense of touch, shifting awareness to the sense of sight and seeing as we see some degree of light coming in through the closed eyelids. Some degree of lightness, brightness, color, patterning, or just a blankness. And even looking into that lightness, brightness, blankness through the closed eyelids. That sense of simply seeing. And then noticing the sense of sound and hearing, auditory experience, hearing some sounds from within this room, sounds from outside, beyond the room. No need to think about the sound, but just simply hearing the coming and going of different sounds, different layers and levels of sound, different pitch, volume, tone, noticing the soundscape of life just here, just now. All sounds occurring on the background of silence. And then the last two physical senses, sense of smell and taste. Maybe noticing the particular smell, odor, fragrance in this room. And also any residue, taste, flavor in the mouth. Simply noticing. Noticing without the need to think about that. Just perceiving the sensory experience. But if thoughts do occur, we can recognize them as just another sense, the mental sense. The sixth sense being the mental sense of thoughts, where all thoughts occur as a mental image that we see, or a mental sound, voice that we hear. Being able to be aware of a thought without the need to be identified with it, as it, or through it, being caught up in thinking it, but just noticing a thought as an individual mental sight or mental sound that we can notice, be objective to, be neutral to. developing a calm, objective, receptive, attentive, neutral knowing. This calm, neutral knowing to the flowing fabric of experience in the present through these six senses, helping the mind move beyond clinging or condemning, reacting or resisting, denying or distracting, just mindful knowing. Coming back to basics. The Dharma of the present moment. Basic fabric of experience, pure and simple. Keeping things simple. Letting go of abstraction. Simply sitting, being, breathing, particularly noticing the breath, the inflow, outflow, sensation of the breath, especially the nose nostril area. As we take up this sensation as our primary reference point for the present. Inflow, outflow, sensation of each breath. Mindfulness with breathing, with each breath. Simply sitting, being, breathing, knowing, noticing if the mind's got caught into some thinking, and if so, gently retrieving our attention and returning it back to the present, back to the breath, feeling each soothing, life-giving, therapeutic breath. So keeping our mental mode of mindfulness going, whether you wish to continue sitting for the next 30 minutes, or we can otherwise go out for some walking meditation. Has anyone not done any walking meditation before? Anyone? No? Okay. Well, certainly finding some space outside, either on the paths around the room in the house, or in the carport area, or the grass outside. If you're walking on the grass, probably good to wear shoes. There can be bindies in the grass. And finding a place where you can walk maybe between 10 to 20 mindful paces, turning around when you get the end to walk back and forth with our eyes open, sort of cast down towards the ground. So keeping the sense of mindful clarity, presence, coming to our senses, keeping that going. And then I'll ring the chimes. These ones in about 30 minutes, about 11 o'clock, and we can come back in and just sit for a couple of minutes before we then have a look at a mindful video. So watching mindfully and seeing some of the teachings of Ajahn Chah on the video. And those people that are connecting online can maybe find a place either to continue sitting or some walking meditation. So we'll connect back in 30 minutes. Enjoy. So let's just take maybe a couple of minutes to just sit and settle and feel into the present moment, particularly through our mindfulness of breathing as a way of also appreciating having had a walk for about 30 minutes, some mindful walking, just feeling into that sense of how it feels to sit, having been out walking, stilling the body, stilling the mind, feeling the body breathing, connecting into the present moment. Simply being. So I'd like to share this video with you. I first saw it when I was a young monk in Sydney. So I ordained January 82 as a Buddhist monk in Sydney, and I saw this video produced by the BBC of Ajahn Chah visiting Ajahn Sumedho, his first Western student, Western disciple, Ajahn Sumedho, American. And it's a video of monks being in West Sussex, a monastery in West Sussex called Chitiviveka, otherwise known as Chithurst, in the village of Chithurst. And so when I first saw this in Australia, I was very inspired and felt a wonderful sort of awe and connection to Ajahn Chah, and felt that I needed to go to Thailand to be in his monastery and be around him. And so that I then did go to Thailand up to the northeast, and that would have been in 83. I went to Thailand. So that and was based then at his Ajahn Chah's International Forest Monastery, about 10 kilometers away from his main monastery. And later on, I did actually, after 6 years in Thailand, was invited to go to England to help out there with the various branch monasteries, and did spend time at in West Sussex at Chithurst Monastery, which we'll see on the video. So this is the Buddha comes to Sussex. Mm-hmm. That's the mindful way. It's obviously an old video. It's 50 years old, so that the color's not that good, but certainly one can get a sense of the feel and idea of Ajahn Chah, Ajahn Sumedho, and the monks there.
In July this year, in a small West Sussex village, people woke up one morning to an unfamiliar sight. Their new neighbours, a group of Buddhist monks, on their arms round.
Brendan, the people online, can they see this?
They can.
Yeah, okay, good.
Their order has existed in the East for 2,500 years, and they've come to England now in response to a growing interest here in Buddhism.
Is it loud enough up the back there? Can you hear it?
Yeah.
It's okay.
They aim to live the simple and disciplined life which the Buddha laid down for the earliest forest monks. There are many Buddhist groups in Britain, but this is the first attempt at such a traditional approach. They have to follow 227 rules, which govern every aspect of their life. The rules provide them with a framework for developing spiritual insight, and what the Buddhist scriptures call loving kindness towards all creation. The community consists of about 20 monks, novices, and lay followers. Their day has begun at 4 a.m. with meditation, followed by chanting in Pali. But very little of their day is taken up with ceremonies. They've just moved into a derelict Victorian house with a 100-acre forest nearby. Their first task was to clear up all the debris and make it habitable. Monks are trained to be content with little. They eat only one meal a day. They don't listen to music, watch television, or read novels. They have to remain celibate and they are permitted few possessions. Their aim is to be free of everything which might distract them from their main task, putting into practice the Buddha's teaching about the path to enlightenment. The spiritual head of the order is the Venerable Ajahn Chah. He has come from Thailand for a few weeks to lend his support to the new sanctuary.
ในเวลานี้ชาวตะวันตกนี้กำลัง
Many people in the West today seem to have much dissatisfaction and unhappiness in their hearts, and they feel they don't have a satisfactory means of dealing with it. The teachings of the Buddha offer the practice of meditation, which is a way of solving problems and overcoming confusion. We've been invited over here because many people want to learn how to put the teaching into practice, with the aim of finding a path through their confusion towards peace and calm.
เพราะความวุ่นวายเป็นเหตุ
But how is all this going to go down in West Sussex? For hundreds of years, Western Christians have exported their religion. Now, for the first time, the West is on the receiving end.
This little hamlet is essentially, it's been steeped in religion for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, Christian religion. We have this little shepherd's church, we also, or I suppose it's a shepherd church, which is in the Doomsday Book. And you have the old manor, which was originally an abbey. Even the ground, I would say, was steeped in Christianity. There are just a few people, but they all mind, they do mind terribly. Not the ones anti anything at all, but this is absolutely alien to the locality. It's an intrusion, it's an invasion. They're all coming from outside. One doesn't know whether they're English, where they come from, anything about them. And they're all searching for something. We've got what we want. I mean, we've only got to look out of this wonderful world, and here we've got a God, or a separate God.
Well, we're not at all anti-monks. I mean, in this godless world, anything that has some sort of spiritual quality, which we think they have, is better than nothing. I mean, what is there against them, actually?
Well, I think their discipline is very high, as far as I understand. I mean, the people I've met are absolutely delightful.
I had a fit nearly when I seen them come down the woods. I looked out as I was working, you know, and I thought, Lord, what's this come from? But I didn't know they were around, so I got talking to them and found them very friendly. I think it's all right, friends, that they keep themselves. They were doing harm to them. I don't know what they're doing now. Are they searching for food?
Yes.
I disapprove of that. But I reckon these people can get there. That's what I feel. I've been about too long.
The hardest point for the monks to get across was why they went on their traditional alms round. Were they just scroungers, or was this a vital part of Buddhist practice? To try to explain this and many other points, soon after they arrived, they held a meeting in the village hall. A film was shown on their parent monastery in Thailand, where most of them were trained.
These monks in northeast Thailand are on Bindabat, the daily dawn walk to receive their food offered by the villagers. They're not allowed to possess money, nor grow their own food. This ensures their total dependence on the lay community, so they can't cut themselves off in a spiritual cocoon. For the laity, Bindabat is a way of paying respect to the discipline of the monks, and also a way of making merit, which many believe brings good fortune in this life and in future rebirths.
Rumours in the Sussex village had been rife. If they weren't the Moonies, then they were communist spies, or the abbot was the king of Thailand in disguise. There were many questions to be answered. The meeting was chaired by the local vicar.
Would anybody like to start the ball rolling? I think this is the most remarkable event which this hall has ever seen. And I'm quite glad to believe that I should wake up tomorrow and it was all a dream. And my question is, what is the size of the community? How many hangers-on are there? And is it going to grow or is it going to remain much as it is?
Number of cars that are arriving at the weekends. This is what we're worried about. Are we to expect more of them in the future?
The other reason people ask these questions because it's different. You know, you come here dressed all in your funny gear. All I've got to say is good luck to you. You can make a go, get something for nothing. Right. Well, honestly, maybe, you know. Good luck.
Walking through Leicester Square a fortnight ago, I came across what appeared to me to be a sort of Buddhist raver. I don't know who the people concerned were, but they were certainly in saffron habits, rather like your own. They had shaved heads. They were banging cymbals, and had really gone completely ecstatic. I think one of the things we have a fear of here is that these sort of people, maybe a fringe element, I don't know, or faith, may come down here, and this sort of thing may go on in Chitters.
The monks' way of meeting doubts that they were just another weird and possibly dangerous sect was to invite the local people to the sanctuary to take a look for themselves. They explained that their rules forbade them to ask for food, and they didn't expect to be fed by their neighbours, but they were keeping up the tradition of the alms round partly as a way of making contact. Their one meal a day has to be eaten before noon. Part of their food will be grown by their lay helpers, and the rest will be donated by Buddhist supporters from further afield. Today, it's been given by the Hampshire Buddhist Society. This temporary dining room was provided by their chairman, who owns a marquee company. You don't have to be a monk to be a devout Buddhist and lead an active business life, provided it's not an immoral one.
We've come today to offer a meal to the monks, which is known as Dharma. And this is an act of giving, which establishes a sort of a relationship between lay people and the monks. And it's not, as is often thought, a case of just giving something to gain merit, but ideally, or in the perfect way, giving Dharma is a case of giving a little bit of oneself. And so it's in keeping with all the basic Buddhist teachings of the Brahman. I've been asked why I'm Buddhist. It's not very easy to answer that because it's a slow process, and I think gradual confidence grows. But I suppose it comes down really to the fact that I see what it's called dukkha in Pali, which is the old Buddhist language. Probably I understand it as dis-ease, imperfection or suffering. And I see this in others, but more importantly in myself. And I'm of confidence that the Buddhist way of practice as a way of doing away with it gradually. But probably more important than a sort of an intellectual motivation is the fact that I meet the monks. I think in all cases, the ones that I've met have been wonderful examples of the result of the training, the fruition of it, if you like.
พวกชาวพุทธทั้งหลายได้มารวมกันและทำบุญในสถานที่นี้ Today all of you Buddhists have had a chance to come.
One of the monks' main roles is to teach. The idea is that the lay people provide food for the body and the monks provide food for the mind. The sanctuary is a kind of spiritual powerhouse where people come to be recharged.
As we say all other people, we say other people's children, that we learn to love other people's children in the same way that we would love our own children.
Ajahn Chah used to give pep talks of a different kind when he was a US Army captain in Vietnam, where he first encountered Buddhism.
I began to practice as a layperson in the Army, and it became quite obvious that if I wanted to continue being a devout lay Buddhist, to practice
strictly adhere to the training precepts that are taught and things, that just to wear a military uniform would be against those teachings. I thought if I wanted to do it 100%, it would be best to become a monk. And here I am, 8 years later.
And their undergo has been a policeman, a merchant seaman, a TV engineer, and a barman, but for the last 3 years, a Buddhist monk. The Buddha's teaching was always intended to be flexible, and there's nothing in it which prohibits adapting to new ways, provided they don't contradict the basic principle.
I'm a very high-minded person, but high-mindedness sometimes I find more aggravating than just a basic, down-to-earth approach to life. Honesty is all it's about. Trying to be totally honest about things as they are and about you as you are. Because man needs to know, apart from his job and everything, which is part of his life, men need to know who they are. Who you are and what you are, not what you're doing, what you are. It's very important. And monks are concerned more with that. Because, I mean, I myself have done many things, different kinds of jobs. So, I didn't know who I was. If a man gets too separated from the world or his environment, he gets ill. I think I've seen that in myself and in other people, some kind of alienation, loss of harmony. To have harmony, you have to know yourself. And harmony is the greatest peace and happiness. If you don't have harmony, it doesn't matter what you've got.
Meditation is seen as the path towards harmony. The Buddha taught that the main reason we become unhappy in life is that we fail to recognize that nothing can last forever. So we cling to possessions, our youth, happy feelings, our loved ones, in a vain hope that things will never change. And when they do, we feel thwarted and miserable. The aim of Buddhist practice, meditation combined with moral living, is a very down-to-earth one, to find a way of overcoming unhappiness. The Buddha taught that this can only be achieved when we reach a sense of detachment, a perspective from where we're no longer upset by the ups and downs of life. When we accept that all existence is impermanent, we begin to take things in our stride. And once we stop clinging to things as though they last forever, then we begin to overcome unhappiness. So meditation is taught as a way of reaching serenity, and it's one which anybody can systematically follow. The Buddha wasn't a god, but a man who 2,500 years ago found a way of reaching the ultimate serenity, nirvana. But meditation is regarded as something just for monks.
Does your meditation include the mindfulness aspect which was taught by the Buddha?
One of the first visitors to the center was Rear Admiral Shatter. He developed his meditation technique when he was Admiral commanding the Malayan area.
I think what is significant about meditation at the present moment is the way in which it's spreading. It is a form of scientific prayer which people can learn by stages, and not only learn, but be convinced by stages they are doing something which is benefiting themselves, not because they become richer or do their job better, but simply because they feel much more complete in themselves as a more complete person. The object of the exercise is simply to find the inner resources of your being and make more use of them in your daily life. When one has the greater sensitivity that the development of the mind gives you, you are better able to know how to help yourself and what they need and what you yourself can give them which will help them on their way. I think this is the
the object, it's a selfless object, it's not a selfish object, although selfish satisfactions may come from it incidentally.
Meditation is often thought of as a self-centered pastime associated with hippies and dropouts rather than admirals. But many of the people here have come not to escape the world, but to find out how to be more effective in it.
I'm an occupational therapist. I was working in a psychiatric unit with people who had different kinds of emotional disturbance, and I enjoyed the work, but I felt that there was probably a better way to help people, and that really I needed to learn a bit more about life and about myself, so that I could begin to have some understanding of the sort of things that were happening to these people. A lot of people say that the monks are very selfish, that they spend all their time working on themselves, and that this way of life doesn't really benefit anybody else very much. But it's benefited me enormously, because what they're doing is living a teaching, and they're making it work, and showing other people that they can make it work too. That's one of the things that they do to help. They just act as a kind of a living embodiment of the teaching.
Well, if it hadn't been for this practice and this teaching, I would have ended up in a nut house. You do some meditation and you conduct yourself very mindfully and peacefully. You get insights into the way your own mind's going around in some particular short circuits. And you break through a lot of neurotic behaviour patterns and you find yourself coping with the world again, simply because this training's shown you how to look into your own mind.
Even the most menial work can be regarded as a form of meditation if it's carried out with awareness. The aim of the training is to make them constantly aware of the present moment. Since monks are forbidden to till the soil, this is done by a novice or layman. One of the communities, a former property millionaire, who now seeks a different kind of satisfaction.
No, not picking. Just the wind. I show you. You see?
In charge of the gardens is Walter Stangl. As a German soldier in the last war, he was imprisoned by the Russians in Siberia. For some years, he was a Buddhist monk himself, but most recently, he's worked as a head gardener at Kew. Now he's decided to devote the rest of his life to this community.
You take it off, put it here in. Yeah. Through Buddhism, I found out more or less or a little bit who I am, and I'm still discovering how little I am. Buddha said, don't believe in me, what I say, just find out for yourself, not believing or thinking it's this is or that this is. Stand on your own feet, be your own explorer, your own discoverer, and see what is on. What's the meaning of life? What's the purpose to be here? Is it just the purpose here to accumulate money, property, houses and cars and all the rest of it? I don't think so. There must be something else, and I feel Buddhism is coming more and more to Europe. We are tired in this saying, believe in me and follow me. Now, this Buddhism is coming to waken up people, to find out for themselves, what is it?
The Buddha taught that understanding is more important than believing, and that enlightenment doesn't come in the form of grace from a divine power, but as a result of man's own efforts to understand the teaching. Here the monks are performing a ceremony for a couple who've recently been married. The groom was once a monk himself. There's no dishonor in having disrobed, since Buddhists accept that all states are subject to change. These ceremonies aren't considered as sacred. merely as a means of focusing the mind, and they don't always have to be conducted with solemnity. At the end of the ceremony, they tie a thread as a gesture of good luck. Even the cat benefits from the ritual sprinkling. Soon after their arrival, the monks were visited by 3 senior members of the Anglican clergy. The local rural dean is Canon Heyman.
Let me ask why you come from another culture wearing particular robes that you do wear into our society, which has a long, rich tradition of spirituality and meditation.
When I was asked to come to England, people would say, are you going to wear those robes? They'll only repel people. People will think you're some kind of hippie or freak, and that it will not help Buddhism at all. You should dress for the particular cultural setting you're going to. And then we reflected on this for a while, and we thought that yet this is only a matter of opinion. It has to be tried first, because symbolically, these robes have a tremendous amount of value. And the color, the shaven head, and only the symbolic of those who leave the home life, the homeless life, like shaving the head, is a way of saying I'm giving up the worldly life, because hair is can be a great sign of vanity and attraction. But we're not here to criticize or to fault find with the society, but to show by our own example a way that is possible to live in this society without being caught in the foolishness of it. But not all local Christians were so willing to listen. Pastor Carter is a minister from the Evangelical Church.
Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. I am the door. And what's happening? All these false religions are coming in from the East. False cults are coming in from America. We're dabbling in the occult, and this is not the answer. The answer is found in the Lord Jesus Christ. And so come back to your question. I'm sorry, and I'm grieved that England is now turning to all these false religions, which are not really the answer. Buddha is dead, but Jesus Christ is alive. It is a great responsibility, but it is a joyful responsibility to go and tell all mankind about the love of the Lord Jesus Christ. Hello, my name is Pastor Carter from the Hazelmere Evangelical Church. How do you do? Now, I come to you from all the Bible-believing Christians in this area, and I've come to tell you the great message that Jesus Christ loves you, and he died for you to save you from your sin, and he's living today. I was only speaking to him this morning. He's a living Lord. He's a living Lord. And I've come to...
The monks willingly accepted the gift of a Bible, but they made no attempt to convert the pastor in their turn. Buddhism today doesn't try to make converts, but the monks were happy to explain their views to anyone who was interested. They were invited to their home with Brigadier and Mrs. Chatterton.
I've been very interested that young people are turning to, if I may say so, Buddhism, that form of spiritual situation, because the Christian church hasn't got the hold that they had. I mean, it's only 11% of 52 million people. Yeah. Doesn't grip, does it?
Doesn't seem to.
No, that's the point.
We see religious, any religion, as a convention or a tool or some kind of vehicle which we use in order to transcend the worldly suffering, the cycle of birth and death, in order to be one with the ultimate truth. And I think in Christianity, maybe the conventions they use, the words are different, the way they talk, but it all is pointing in the same direction, at that which is
say beyond description, that which we call immortal, or beyond birth and death, that which is perfect and complete.
Yes.
We're not claiming that ours is the only true path, but it is one of the conventions that we, for our own personal practice and experience, have found very useful and beneficial.
The main problem when one religion tries to understand another is the lack of a common vocabulary. This is what the local clergymen hoped to find. They showed the monks around a former Christian priory, which seemed a suitable setting for a metaphysical discussion.
When you are meditating, are you having any regard to what we would call God?
I'd be very shy of using the word God. I would say that it's becoming aware of the way things are, the way your mind is, the way that your mind works, but the way that all things are interconnected, interrelated. It's opening yourself up to that which is beyond your immediate knowledge, and realizing there's something beyond that, that which arises and that which passes away, that which is mortal, that which is born and dies. But whatever that is, you can't understand it, you can't name it.
What I'm worried about is that we don't seem to have a word which we can both use to describe what we're seeking. If I'm seeking ultimate truth, and if the abbot, Buddhist monks, are seeking the ultimate truth, and if we accept that the ultimate truth cannot alter or be anything different, then there must be some way in which we can communicate with each other. The world will separate. Right? He's a Buddhist, I'm a Christian. But intrinsically, basically, in what I'm doing, I feel that there is as much between you and me as there is between any other worshipping and sincere and devout Christian. So that I can see it.
Local clergymen like Reverend Christopher Buxley feel they personally can find a meeting point. But for the Church of England as a whole, does the presence of Buddhism in any way pose a threat?
It can't be bad if it's something that challenges you. And the presence of Buddhists in rural West Sussex, which is traditionally the sort of heart of the Church of England, the challenge in itself must be something which says, well, what is this tradition? If our tradition is worth anything, the tradition of Christianity, the tradition that many of us have been prepared to die for, and all sorts of things, really, what is it saying? The old argument of the Church of England being the Tory party at prayer. I mean, this is something which does put a lot of young people off. We need somehow to say that beyond the dreariness, beyond the formality, beyond everything that you associate with churches and boredom, there is a tradition of seeking the truth. The Buddhists have given us, or by being here, give us the opportunity to look at our own traditions, and I hope to preserve what is worthwhile in those traditions, but to have the courage also to say about some of them that really they're not worth keeping.
It's early days yet to see how Sussex will take to Buddhism. But it doesn't seem likely that familiar rituals will be abandoned in favour of Sunday afternoons in a lotus position. By comparison with the active pursuits of rural Sussex, Buddhist meditation might seem a rather passive and therefore unrewarding pastime. The monks don't condemn the active life, but their hope is to demonstrate to their neighbours that the most effective actions come from a still mind, and that the path to the still mind is meditation. The Buddha said, when a man attains wisdom through the teaching, he becomes serene and at peace, like a lake, which is deep, clear, and still.
Many people say Buddhism is very nihilistic, which when you look at it in terms of you, your little self living in this vast universe, it is. It's a total annihilation in a sense. But it's an annihilation of that small-minded way of looking at the world, but always from you, ego-centered thing. But that's not all there is. And when that dies, something very beautiful comes into being. And that's the side of people who don't understand when they make that accusation. And as I've seen with people who've meditated, the more they've stuck it and meditated and their self has been ground away, they just start to blossom. It's incredible. I mean, if that's death, I mean, that's fine with me.
All this can never be fully understood if all we do is talk about it. Just as we can never know whether an apple tastes sweet or sour, unless we actually taste it for ourselves. The ultimate truth is like the flavor of an apple, which you can't see with the eye or hear with the ear. The only way to experience it is to put the teaching into practice. Once you've tasted it, you'll no longer be in any doubt about its flavor, and you won't have to ask anyone else. The problem will be solved.
We invite you to come and visit. What we do is.
So a nice little documentary video, giving the sort of the basics of the Buddha's teachings and the emphasis on meditation, inspiration of community living together. And many of those monks that you saw, monks and nuns you saw there, are still there, and even the woman that was a occupational therapist, she's been a nun for probably over 50 years now. Has her own monastery up in Scotland. So the inspiration that she got from the monks has, given her a very, very impressive life, and as now a teacher to other people. So let's take a tea break for maybe 10-15 minutes, and then we can come in and watch the other video, which is the mindful way. So seeing Ajahn Chah actually in Thailand. So enjoy some mindful tea drinking and some muffin cakes. So this again, short documentary was filmed in Thailand with Ajahn Chah and the monastery and the monks, and we saw a little bit of this that was in the previous documentary where the monks in England were showing this to the people in Sussex, but this is the actual full length of the documentary, The Mindful Way. And so again, it's helping us to sort of get a sense of the life of the monks and Ajahn Chah in his monastery, Wat Pah Pong. So it goes for about 20 minutes or so, and then we'll finish up with a short meditation and any questions you might have.
These monks in northeast Thailand are on Bindabat, the daily dawn walk to receive their food offered by the villagers. Not all monks in Thailand keep strictly to the discipline prescribed by the Buddha, but these monks strive to maintain the original forest tradition of a pure and simple life. They're not allowed to possess money, nor grow their own food. This ensures their total dependence on the lay community, so they can't cut themselves off in a spiritual cocoon. For the laity, Bindabat is a way of paying respect to the discipline of the monks, and also a way of making merit, which many believe brings good fortune in this life and in future rebirths. About 50 monks and novices live at Wat Bapong, ranging from 13 years old to 70. Some may stay for many years, but the majority will only spend a year or two, for it's the Thai custom for men to be ordained for a short period of their lives. After returning from Bindabat, the monks eat their only meal of the day, which consists mainly of rice and vegetables. The day began at 3 a.m. with chanting, meditation, general chores and duties. It's now about 8:30. Until this time tomorrow, they'll consume only liquids. After the meal, they bow to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The abbot, the Venerable Ajahn Chah, has been in robes for 50 years.
อยู่ในป่าเลยอยู่ในป่าต่างอยู่ในเมือง
Here in the forest, you can learn to be in harmony with the way things are in nature.
อยู่ในป่าเป็นปกติ
You can live happily and peacefully.
สบายสงบเห็นธรรมชาติมันเกิดขึ้นแล้ว
Here, a monk is able to contemplate the nature of things. As he looks around him, he understands that all forms of life degenerate and eventually die. Nothing that exists is permanent. And when he understands this, he begins to become calm and serene.
จิตก็สบายขึ้น
Ajahn Chah teaches that even the most mundane activity can be a form of meditation if carried out mindfully. Much of the day is spent making and maintaining their few basic possessions. Meditation can eventually become a constant practice.
วิธีทำของวัดหนองประพงนั้น
Monks are trained to be content with little, to eat only what they need, to sleep only when necessary, to be satisfied with what they have. This is the foundation for Buddhist meditation.
เครื่องอุปกรณ์ที่จะปฏิบัติเท่านั้นได้ทั้งประโยชน์ตน
Buddhist monks don't practice meditation for selfish reasons. We practice in order to know ourselves, so that then we'll be able to understand and teach others how to live peacefully and wisely.
ให้ถึงความสงบสุข
This monk has been ordained for 15 years. He's respected not only for his skill in meditation, but also for his practical skills, his consistent mindfulness. Meditation doesn't just involve being at peace with the world. Confronting the self can be like walking into a raging storm. It's quite usual at first to despair, even to want to kill oneself.
Some people think that a monk's life is a lazy and an easy one. If that's what they think, they should just try and see how long they can stand it. A monk's work is hard. He works to free his heart so that he begins to feel loving kindness, which embraces everything. He sees that all life has the characteristic of the breath. It rises and it falls. Everything that is born expires. So his suffering diminishes as he knows that nothing belongs to him.
This novice is 14. He comes from a local village and has been in the monastery for several months. What's the hardest thing about being a novice?
Being a novice isn't difficult, but being in the world is very hard.
Why is that? Why?
Because there's a lot of problems involved in looking after buffaloes.
I was tired with the world, so I wanted to come and live here to practice the Dharma. I used to have a wife, 6 children, buffaloes. All these I had to give up. I felt that coming to live here was more useful to myself and to others. As I experienced the teaching of the Buddha, so I can pass it on to others.
Discipline is a crucial part of the experience. The 227 rules which a monk has to observe are not ends in themselves, but stepping stones towards mental resolve. Shaving the head is a symbol of the renunciation of the world. This monk from London is one of several Western monks here.
The life is very simple, daily life is very simple. And yet, if you look at the rules, they all seem very complicated, which seems a bit of a contradiction. But in actual fact, they two work together, because simplicity also involves always coming down into the moment which you're in. Simplicity helps you do that. And then the complication of the rules helps you do that more, because you always have to be recollecting what you're doing.
The day's activities are regulated by a bell. Twice a month it calls them to confession. They recite to each other the categories of offence. The most serious, which include sexual intercourse, are punished by expulsion. Lesser offences incur various penances. Of course, a monk is free to leave the order if he finds the discipline irksome.
และผมขอรวบรวมอาบัติทั้งหลายทั้งปวงที่สมควรแสดงที่สมควรเทศนามาแสดงต่อท่านถ้าผมได้ล่วงในสิกขาบทใดก็เป็นนั้นว่าแสดงในสิกขาบทนั้นถ้าหากว่าไม่ได้ล่วงเกินในสิกขาบทใดก็เป็นนั้นว่าไม่ได้แสดงชีวิตของพระคือว่าเป็นชีวิตที่
A monk learns to challenge his moods. Our aim is to become aware of everything that passes through our minds, knowing the greed, hatred, delusion. We watch these feelings, but we don't cling to them and follow them. We just watch them come and go.
อาวุโสสัพพมุลานานาโอสตกรณโตปุเพนววิคังปุปกิจังกาตพังโหตันทานาสมัชนันจะตถาปฏิพุทธลนันจะอาสนะปัญญาปนันจะปานิยปริโภชนิยุปถาปนันจะ
After the confession comes the patimokkha, the ritual recitation of the 227 rules. Occasional prompting is sometimes necessary.
Chantaharana parisuti aharanani panayimi sangsimayang hatapasang vichahitawa isinanam pikuna pavatonati utukhanang nama etakang atikantang etakang awasitanti ewang utuvachikanang utunitapana sasane hemantakim hawasananang vasanatini honti ayang vasanoto imasamija utumhi sataja uposatha ekaja paulana imina pakhena eko uposatho sampatto Pancaca uposatha eka ca pawarana atikanta eko uposatho awasitho iti ewang saphehi ayasamantehi evantang uposatha kamang imehi catuhi lakhani sanghetang patakalang namahoti katung yuturupang uposatha kamasa patakalang tarvatitawa itani kaliyamano uposatho sangkhena anumane tapo Pupakrana Pupachikan Samadhisawani Matani Chinata Santa Anumatiya Patumo Samuteti Tumate Kanang Karomi Akadamakkarang Karomase Namo Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa
You can't control yourself in a way, you know. I mean, you try and you fail, but then you find out why you fail. That's the thing, and through that, then you get understanding, which enables you to work it. Let's put it like that. That's one way of saying it, talking about it, a certain way of looking at it.
So it's a question of becoming aware of feelings,
right, it's not
hatred,
running
lust,
away.
or whatever.
Right, I mean, you've got to look right at them and confront them all, and through that, then you can do it. But if you just push them away, I mean, that's happened. People have done that, and they've ended up going crazy, you know, because we're not trying to be anybody special or anything. So these rules aren't leading us on to sainthood or something like that. It's not the idea. We're just looking at what we are, and we've got to get the muck out of the way, and that's what they help us do.
But what does all this do for the laity? The monastery exerts a tremendous pull on the lay community, and they provide all the money for the buildings. This man used to be a village spirit priest, but now in response to Ajahn Chah's teaching, he's turned his back on spirit beliefs, and he's now revered because he walks without fear through forests others believe are spirit-haunted. In Thailand, Buddhist practice is often blended with pre-Buddhist beliefs. Many villages make offerings to guardian spirits whose powers they're fearful of. But coming to the monastery, they leave all this behind. Ajahn Chah tries to discourage all forms of superstition, which includes people asking him to divine winning lottery numbers. This man used to own a string of bars and nightclubs. He's been so impressed by Ajahn Chah that he's abandoned all these in search of a more moral livelihood. Now he comes regularly to the monastery for advice, teaching, or to see if any work needs doing.
Meeting Ajahn Chah has helped me to solve many problems which were causing me a lot of unhappiness and which I wasn't able to solve myself. I come to the monastery in the same way that if I'm physically sick, I go to the hospital. If there is any illness in my mind, I come here to find a cure. Whenever I begin to feel suffering, I come here to Ajahn Chah. He teaches me to come to terms with things and find a purpose in life. He explains to me about the nature of things, how suffering arises, and how to end it, according to the teachings of the Buddha.
ซึ่งตามหลักของพระพุทธเจ้าคือการตรัสรู้อริยสัจสี่
4 times a month on Buddhist Sabbath days, the local community congregate at the monastery. Some travel from afar to hear Ajahn Chah's discourse. The day begins with chanting.
To help people contemplate the true nature of the body, we have human skeletons in the assembly hall, because when one doesn't understand death, life is very confusing. If our body really belonged to us, then it would obey our commands. But if we say, don't get old, or I forbid you to get sick, does it obey us? No. It takes no notice. We only rent this house. We don't own it. If we think the house belongs to us, when we have to leave it to die, we suffer. In reality, there is no such thing as a self. Buddha made a distinction between ultimate truth and conventional truth. The idea of a self is merely a convention. Foreigner, Thai, you, the interviewer, these are all conventions. In ultimate reality, there isn't anybody. There is only earth, fire, water, air, elements which have combined temporarily. We call the body a person, mine, but ultimately there is no me. There is only anatta, not self.
Some of the lay community will sit up all night meditating on these themes with the monks. For a brief period, they are inspired and uplifted, and become one with the spiritual struggle of the monks.
To understand anatta, not self, you have to meditate. If you only intellectualize about it, your head will explode. Once you understand anatta, then the burden of life is gone. Your normal daily life with your family, your work, all will be much easier. You'll be at peace with the world. When we see beyond self, we no longer cling to happiness, and when we stop clinging, we can begin to be happy.
Before I came here, I was like a boat without a rudder. Now Ajahn Chah has taught me what is right and what is wrong. I feel I have that rudder, and I can choose the right course.
Originally I had strong feelings inside, but they kept being, they were frustrated by my external conditions, or so I thought. But actually that wasn't so, because these external conditions were helping this to grow, you know. And I feel that now is about the first time that I really feel I got a whole view of things, if you see what I mean, in the right perspective, that I wanted it for myself, from this inner kind of feeling I had, which sometimes I thought was all wrong, because it wouldn't fit in with the outer life, you know, and this kind of thing. And now I feel that things have come together in the right way, Before they've come together, but never so right, I would think. So, that's not to say everything's all right, by any means, but things, I feel right about things, basically, you know. Solid inside. Yeah.
ต้องภาวนาไม่ให้ห่วงพระนิพพานถ้าห่วงพระนิพพานก็ไปไม่ได้ไปพระนิพพานไม่ได้
Shouldn't be concerned with nirvana or attaining nirvana. If you are, then that in itself will prevent you from gaining nirvana.
So what should a monk's main concern be?
ฉะนั้นพระควรจะมีมุ่งหมายอย่างไรครับฉะนั้นพระจะควรมีมุ่งหมายอย่างไรนะมีความมุ่งหมายทางการปล่อยวาง The aim is to let go.
So you have to let go, but without striving to let go.
ฉะนั้นต้องปล่อยวางแต่ว่าไม่ควรจะปรารถนาการปล่อยวาง
ใช่ปรารถนาไม่ได้ปล่อยวางไม่ปรารถนาสิ่งใดทั้งนั้นน่ะว่าง
That's right. You should let go without desire.
หมดถ้ามีอยู่ก็ไม่ใช่พระนิพพานเลยสิ
If there's still desire and the pursuit to do that, then that's not nirvana.
Letting go towards nirvana may seem impossible for the laity tied to the world, but in the shape of the monks, they can see their own unfulfilled aspirations take the form of flesh and blood. Only the few have the discipline to walk with them on the direct path, but the effect on the laity is this: when they see them, they feel it can be done.
วัดป่า
So the laity give the monks food for the body, and the monks give the laity food for the mind and heart, so that they can understand the cause of unhappiness and know why things are as they are.
ให้มีความเห็นชอบที่ไม่มีปัญหาเกิดขึ้น
Be mindful and let things take their natural course. Then your mind will become still, like a clear forest pool. All kinds of rare animals will come to drink at the pool. You will see many wonderful and strange things come and go, but you will be still. Problems will arise, but you will see through them immediately. This is the happiness of the Buddha.
Are there any questions or comments about what you saw in either of the two videos?
I think it was in the second video, one of the Thai monks was highly regarded for he was like 15 years in his Ajahn-ship. But he was also highly regarded for his practical wisdom. Can you talk about like what that is, perhaps?
Sure. So what they meant there, and that was Ajahn Liam, and he's now the abbot of Ajahn Chah's monastery. He's not the most senior student or disciple of Ajahn Chah, but he's been around Ajahn Chah, or was around Ajahn Chah the longest resident at in the monastery there. So he's the abbot there, and he's been a monk probably for 60 years now, and but has a lot of skill in building, so that he has built lots of big meditation halls. There's one that he built just recently, or last few years ago, at the International Forest Monastery, which is huge. It's probably the size of 4 houses together, and so he has a lot of skill in designing and building and teaching the monks how to sort of put things together. And you saw him, he was making a broom there. The monks would make these brooms out of bamboo for sweeping the paths.
Okay, yeah.
And very much that sort of is like a mindful meditative practice to make things mindfully and patiently, and sort of a practice in itself. John?
Struck me the most from also seeing, like over the years, the spiritual practices was the humility of it. It's not like we are better than you, or
So keeping things really simple and humble, and giving things a go, giving the practice a go. Yeah, I think that probably the forest monks, they embody that a lot, as opposed to certainly Buddhist monks. Some of the city monks can get into the sort of ecclesiastical type of a hierarchy, which isn't in the forest tradition. It's more about just living really simply and living in the forest, and so that someone that's been a monk or a nun for many, many years and maybe very attained just has the same practice and the same robes and as the other monks. There's no sort of special hats and sort of regalia that they have. It's all just really, really simple.
In the first video, it mentioned that the monks were forbidden from tilling the soil. So
Yes,
they
yes.
do that. So my question's just, is that across the board for all Buddhism, or was that specific to that school?
Sure, yeah.
And also, why is that?
Sure, that's a good question. Yes, so the monastic discipline, the rules that the Buddha laid down 2,500 years ago, prohibit fully ordained monks. So the novice monks, saw some of the little Thai novices there. They can dig the soil, and but someone that's fully ordained monks has a 227 precepts, and one of them is to not cut green plants or living plants, and not to dig the soil that has life in it. So if there was a heap of soil delivered, they could move it, but not dig the soil, and that's because at the time of the Buddha, it was felt that living, not just living beings, but trees have a sort of a life, and therefore cutting trees is not seen to be a good thing for a spiritual practitioner. And also digging the soil, certainly as we know here, you dig the soil and you're killing worms and creatures and so forth. The other sort of practical side of it is that it was to stop monks really focusing on becoming cultivators, which they have in other traditions, certainly having their vineyards and growing their wine, and that becomes a focus which can be a big distraction from spiritual practice, so that the Buddhist monks can't do that. Again, lay people that are Buddhists, that some monastery may have a garden, and so there's lay people go along and dig the soil and cut things. Monks can help out with things, but not those two activities of cutting green plants, living plants, or digging soil that hasn't been sort of tilled. Yeah.
Why do monks disrobe, particularly from the West? Why do they go over searching for a spiritual?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I can speak from my own experience. Many reasons, but often they may have practiced to a point where they feel that, certainly with myself, that I could continue practicing as a Buddhist and without needing to wear the robe, and that also there's other things that you can learn without sort of being an ordained Buddhist monk. So I found that after 11 years of being a monk, from the age of 17 to 28, I felt there was restrictions on what I can learn from life, and that I wanted to move into a broader context, the world and lay life, and learn from that, which certainly I have. But I guess every monk or nun that may disrobe may have their own particular reason for things. Sometimes, as even heard, where monks and have disrobed because they become quite fairly senior, 10 years or so, and they didn't want to get into a teaching position and the roles and responsibilities of that, so they leave and become a lay person, and they can practice their meditation without sort of having the responsibilities that comes from being popular and having to go different places and teach and so forth. So different reasons, and I don't think it's ever because they've lost faith in Buddhism or lost a sense of confidence in Buddhism, but more just wanting a different form to function in. And certainly for some, it might be that they feel that they want to be involved in relationship and have a partner and that side of things as well. For different reasons. As we heard there, in Thai culture, it's the tradition that men will ordain at some point in their life, usually when they're around 20. It's even they have a choice. You can go and do a year in military service, or you can go and ordain as a Buddhist monk. So if you ordain as a Buddhist monk, you don't need to do military service, which that's a nice option. And then also, if they work for the government, they get 3 months paid leave to be a Buddhist monk. They got their government sort of pay. And generally also it's appreciated that by women, that if a man has been a Buddhist monk for some time, he's more eligible then as a partner. He's learned some discipline, some respect. He knows how to meditate, and so they think he's more worthy as a husband. And if he has, obviously he's left. Therefore, he's not likely to, if they get married to someone that hasn't been a Buddhist monk, they might also think, oh, maybe he's going to leave me and go off to the monastery. Because he's already done that. It's like, okay, probably worked. So usually I don't show videos on these retreat days, but because it's been a sort of bit of a special day with Ajahn Chah's birthday coming up on the 17th, and again my father's on the 16th, and if Ajahn Chah was still alive, he'd be 108 this coming week. My father would be 100, but just nice to be able to share Ajahn Chah with you, and certainly to feel that sort of connection from myself to yourself, and a sense of lineage and connection, tradition, practice, and so that some of the things that I have said over the course of the Thursday night meditation group and other retreat days where I maybe reference Ajahn Chah, you get a sense of having seen him, having heard him speak, and so that that can also be helpful. There's actually one of the books up the back there for free distribution, which you can take if you like. If you don't have a copy already, is a small book with Ajahn Chah's teachings in it. So please take a copy if you don't already have one. I think it's called Simply So. Is that what it's called, Justin?
Simple terms.
In simple terms, yeah. Yes. So let's do a 2-minute meditation just to finish off our time together. So taking this time to settle into the present moment, having spent the last few hours here, practicing meditation, sitting, walking, listening, looking, in many ways coming to our senses. So feeling our body sitting, feeling the movement of our body as we breathe. And even feeling a sense of joy within our heart, our spiritual heart, the center of our chest, a sense of joy in having done something very meaningful, worthwhile for this morning, this half day, being here, meditating, listening, sharing, helping to cultivate calm and clarity, peace and wisdom, whilst connecting with others, that sense of community, sharing, caring. Being a worthwhile human being, the aspiration towards clarity, wisdom, freedom. Feeling good in what we've done, sense of inner joy, satisfaction, and motivation to continue to practice meditation, be mindful, live from wisdom, from Dharma. And with that good feeling in the heart, having made good karma, wholesome merit, even dedicating or sharing that with people that may be significant to us, whatever goodness has come from our life this morning, our practice, sharing that goodness with others, that they may receive this good energy, this good vibe, this good feeling, wholesome karma and merit, that their minds may be uplifted, they may be well and happy, whether that person or persons are partner or parents, children, friends, relatives, colleagues, even pets, any pet friends. Whatever goodness has come from our life this morning, we give that goodness, that good energy to them. Breathing out from our heart center that good vibe energy towards those people, those beings. Breathing in, breathing out. And also to all of us here, sharing this good vibe feeling with everyone that's been part of our session. Wishing everyone well. May you all be well, happy, free from pain, issue, illness, living your life well. Breathing out, giving this good energy and wish to everyone here. Breathing in, receiving that good energy wish from everyone else here. That sense of interaction, interconnectedness, sharing of the goodwill of well-being. Breathing in, breathing out through the heart center. That good feeling of joy and well-being. And then coming back to ourself, wishing ourselves well, and may I too be well, happy, free from pain, issue, illness, living my life well. May my life be a blessing to others. Feeling good in ourselves for what we've done. Feeling motivated to maintain our mindfulness and meditation. The more we look after and care for ourselves, that becomes an aid in supporting and helping others. So feeling good within ourselves, for ourselves, kindness and care. And when you feel ready to end this brief meditation, just taking a deep breath and slowly opening our eyes to finish. So thank you everyone for coming here this day, this morning up until now. Hope that you found some worth in what we've been practicing and various appreciations. Do take a look at times at the notes that I put together, which can be a helpful reminder. And hopefully see you again either at the Thursday night meditation group and or the next Sunday retreat day, which will be Sunday the 26th of July, which is the first of a series of 4 for the Vassa retreat period, July through to October. So have a mindful rest of the day and thanks for coming. See you again.